Those already. We did the first section, which sort of gave a definition, or Patanjali's definition of yoga, and described the results of yoga. And then the second video talked about the mind and the activities of the mind and how the mind works. So this next section, we're going to talk about how we arrive at yoga, or how yoga happens. In the last video, I intended but forgot to chant all the sutras that we've done so far up to the point we're going to end in the video. And I want to do that for a couple of reasons. The first is so that I feel a little more centered and less flustered, and a little less cold on the topic. And also so that it becomes, or starts to feel and sound a little familiar. I encourage you to follow along. If you learn best visually, I have the handouts and links to the handouts in the comments. You can print the handout. The pitch is not notated on the handout, but you can kind of listen along and catch the pattern of it, and I think you'll do all right. If you would like a printed version with the pitch notated for chanting, this is the book that I have that was used in my training, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. I ordered this from the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram, KYM. I think their website might be kym.org, but if you type in KYM and yoga, I think it'll come up, and they have a bookstore with this green Yoga Sutra book in it. And inside, it's got the Sanskrit letters, and beside that, it's got the Roman transliteration so that it's a little bit easier for those of us who speak English or Latin language to make the sounds. So I'm going to start with Sutra 1 and go through Sutra 16, and then I'll break down Sutras 12 through 16 with a word-by-word translation. I would love to hear your comments. Please feel free to add some comments. I'll put a couple of discussion questions down for you to reflect on, but if you have your own questions or experiences to share, I would love to hear about them. So here we go from the top. Atha Yoganushasanam Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha Tadatrashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam Vritti Sarupyam Mitarhatra Vrittayah Panchatayah Klishta Klishtaha Pramana Viparyaya Vikalpa Mitra Smritayaha Pratyaksha Anumana Agamaha Brahmanani Viparyayo Mithyajnanam Atatrupa Pratishtham Shabdagnyananubhati Vastushunyo Vikalpaha Abhava Pratyaya Lambana Tamo Vrittir Nidra Anubhuta Vishaya Asambramoshaha Smritihi. And these are today's sutras. Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tannirodhaha Tatra Sthitau Yatno Bhyasaha Satu Dirghakala Nairantarya Satkara Arara Asevito Tritha Bhumihi Drishtanushravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Sanya Vairagyam Tatparam Purushakyatehe Unavaitrishyam. So those are all the sutras we are covering so far through this video. And I want to bring up a little reminder of what we've covered already. So in the first video, Patanjali gives his definition of yoga. And Patanjali says that yoga is the mastery of the activities of the mind, or the ability to direct the activities of the mind. So this is Sutra number 2, Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhah. Yoga is the directing or the mastery, nirodhah, of the vrittis, the activities of chitta, which is a mind that is able to be governed, a mind that is able to focus. So then he talks a little bit about the activities of the mind, or the vrittis. And then we arrive at Sutra 12. And in Sutra 12, Patanjali says, Abhyasa Vairagyam dan nirodhah. So we have this word nirodhah again. So Patanjali is saying this is how you get to the place of nirodhah, where the mind is able to be directed, or the activities of the mind are directed in the way you want them to go. And there are 2 things that you need, Abhyasa and Vairagya. And then in the following sutras, he tells us what those 2 things are. So Abhyasa is often translated as practice or effort. And Vairagya is usually translated as, let me double check. For me, the translation has been given as relinquishing. That's the explanation of Vairagyam. Let me give you some other words too. So the absence of passion or detachment. So there's an idea that you're not wanting something, or you're not driven by desire for something. There's an absence of that thirst. So that's Vairagyam. So Sutra 113, Tatra sthitau yatno abhyasaha. So yatno abhyasaha, you have abhyasa at the very end. This is the definition of abhyasa, effort. So 113 says tatra, or there, in that place, sthitau, steadiness or settled in, yatna is sustained effort or efforts done over time. So abhyasa, or practice, or diligent efforts, is, and in this case, it's kind of talking about the practice to focus the mind, but it could be yoga practice in general. So just practice is the sustained effort, yatna, sustained, the sustained effort to remain there or in that place. And that place is nirodhah. So practice, abhyasa, is the efforts made to keep the mind in this place where the activities of the mind can be directed. In 114, Patanjali says, Satu dirghakala nairantarya satkara adara asevito dritha bhumihi. So he's still talking about abhyasa here. He's saying that practice, abhyasa, or sa means this or that practice. Furthermore, too, becomes firmly grounded. So this is at the end of the line. Dritha bhumihi, becomes firmly grounded. Dritha is firmly or solidly. Bhumihi is grounded or of the earth, rooted. Practice becomes firmly grounded when it is thoroughly asevitaha, asevito here in the sutra. It is thoroughly nourished by regularity and endurance. Dirghakala, coming to it time and time and again is what that means. Perseverance, or continuity, not being interrupted. This is nairantarya, has a quality of not being interrupted. And with positive feelings or devoted feelings, satkara, and confidence or respect. This is adara. So these are the elements that are necessary for the practice to become firmly rooted. So you can probably think of that in your own practice and think of your own experience, how these qualities of it going on in a continuous way for a long time, where you come again and again to the same practice. And it's not interrupted. You do this, every day, regularly. You do it with positive feelings, with enthusiasm, with a sense of devotedness and confidence that that it's the right thing to do, some faith in the practice, that the practice becomes easier to do and it has a deeper effect. It becomes firmly rooted, firmly grounded. So then in Sutra 115, Patanjali now describes Vairagyam. He says, Drishtanusravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya Vashikara Sanya Vairagyam. So Vairagyam is, or actually he says, mastery in Vairagyam. So mastery with full awareness, Vashikara Sanya, that's complete mastery over, or mastery, conscious mastery. So this is Vairagyam that you're aware of. That's not just kind of happening in the background, although that does happen. But purposeful detachment or indifference or lack of thirst is achieved when the desire or the thirst for objects that you have seen or perceived yourself, or that you've heard about, has disappeared. So drishta is seen, things that you've seen. Anushravika, things that you've heard about or that you've received news about or information about. And Vishaya are objects. Vitrishnasya is without thirst for. So mastery of Vairagyam occurs when there is no thirst for objects that you have seen or heard about. And Sutra 116, still about Vairagyam. Tat param purusha kyatehe gunavaitrishyam. So we have this vaitrishyam word again that means without thirst, or the absence of interest or absence of desire. So 116 is talking about sort of the highest or extreme level of Vairagyam, of this detachment. And it says that the highest level is when the highest level is reached. There is an absence of interest in the gunas, which are the qualities of nature or things that change. There's sort of a not being bothered by external influences, by prakriti, which is the material stuff of existence. Because there's a strong link with Purusha, with this sort of internal spirit that is unchanging and that is, the seer, the true self. So at the highest level of Vairagyam, there's such a strong connection with Purusha that all the outside sort of material things that change or that generally, motivate us or interest us, they don't have an influence over us anymore. That's essentially what he's saying here. I'll put some comments in some questions in the comments and share a little bit about my experience with Abhyasa and Vairagyam. And I encourage you to look for this in your own life and see how your practice influences you, to notice the effects of making efforts and this quality of Vairagyam, of relinquishing. So the word relinquishing was given to me because there's a way that when you become less interested in something, you give it up. You don't need it anymore. Most of the examples I've been given are, of food or substances. There's a way that over time, as you make these efforts in your yoga practice, you become less attached to stuff. You don't need coffee as much, maybe, or you don't need sugar as much. These things you see have maybe a negative consequence, and you give them up. So those are the examples given to me, and that's why Vairagyam was given the meaning relinquishing, because that's sort of the result of the lack of thirst or the detachment that happens. Anyway, I hope you'll join the discussion in the comments. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks for watching. Tune in next week. We're going to do the next section of Chapter 1 then. Thank you.